Okay, let's look into the general source of international law. All right, I've also sent you this one-page materials on Article 38, Clause 1 ICJ. Right, let's have a look. Okay, now this article is actually representing all the source for international law. Although the word public international law is not there, that tells you that this source can be applicable to public international law or private international law. From today onwards, whenever it is international law, it always means public international law, because we are not in class to learn on private international law. Private international law, you know, example is the shipping law, commercial law, all right, carriage and all, right? Okay, let's look into this one. So how many types do you have for source of international law that governs relationship between 199 states in the world? Or maybe some people put it as 205 states in the world. All right, okay, so you see this for source, although it looks very simple, but the the source is actually gathers from the ancient international law and the modern international law, all that taken into consideration, all right, all aspect of relationship that brings rules and procedure. So it is, all right, then summarized and included in the Article 38 Clause 1 ICJ 1959. Right? Okay. Now, the next thing you have to know the background, so that next time when people ask questions or you go for debate, you won't get it wrong, is that these statutes of ICJ article and including the Article 38 Clause 1, it only appeared, all right, in 1959. Therefore, can you rely on the source? Yes, the answer is yes. For Article 38 Clause 1, it goes retrospective. All right, back to the first beginning of creation of international law, including the relationship, right? Okay, that one is mentioned in, all right, United Nations 1945 in the preambles. All right, so after this, if you have time, look into United Nations preambles, where it says that they are going to rely on all practice of international law, which either stated in any document or in any practices of the states that are members. All right, so therefore it solved your big questions that since a statute of ICJ only appeared in 1959, all right, can it covers all international law? Can it represent the same sort in the ancient time and until now? Right, the answer is yes. Article 38 Clause 1 covers all the two periods. Okay, now let's look into that. Article 38 Clause 1 Statute of ICJ. Sometimes it is said as Article 38 Clause 1 ICJ statute, whichever the same thing refers. Right, let's look into the wording. Right. Okay, anybody have any questions? No. If you don't, right? Okay, let's look into this Article 38, right? The wording goes like this. Disputes submitted to the court shall be decided by applying treaties, international custom, and, all right, a dispute, right? What was the word? Defined, customarily recognized, solved. All right, let's look into this. All right, Article 38 of the Statute of ICJ, right? All right, Article 38 of the Statute of International Court of Justice. All right, okay, they state this one under Article 38. The court whose function is to decide in accordance with international law, such dispute are submitted to it shall apply. All right, international convention, whether general or particular, establishing rules expressly recognized by the contesting states, right? International custom as evidence of a general practice accepted by law, all right? The general principle of law recognized by civilized nation And D, subject to the provision of Article 59, judicial decision and the teaching of the most highly qualified publicists of the various nations as subsidiary means for the determination of rules of law. All right, and there is a subsection 2. This subsection 2 usually it's a subsection 2 qualifies. All right, this provision shall not prejudice the power of the court to decide a case ex equo ex bono if the party agrees thereto. All right, this is what we are going to do in this week. All right, first of all, we are going to look into the when do you refer to Article 38, Clause 1 and Clause 2. All right, when you refer to Article 38, Clause 1, all these A, B, C, D must apply to the states, all right, in the nature of ex equo ex bono. We will look into the, all right, maxim at the end, all right. Okay, let's look into this one, right. The wording specifically says, right, dispute, any dispute between states, all right, yeah, then you can apply these 4 types of source of law, all right, any dispute. So it doesn't matter what type of dispute as long as it is an international law, meaning that is a dispute between 2 states, right? Okay, so or more than 2 states, multi-dispute, especially with regards to convention and all. All right, so there you go. Jadi, the first one is the source is international convention. All right, right, international convention. Right, now we are going to look at international convention in brief today. So next week we are going to do in thorough the formation of convention or the formation of treaties. Yeah, all right. Okay, let's look into international convention. Right, the word convention, right, that word refers to treaty, all right, multi agreement, all right, states multi agreement, all right, okay, and also the word convention. There is a difference between the word convention and treaty and multi agreement, all right, okay. A treaty is actually, all right, a treaty can come into 2 forms, unilateral treaty and multilateral treaty. Unilateral treaty is just like, all right, Treaty of Cape Verde. All right, the example is Treaty of Cape Verde. All right, this treaty is actually one person, unilateral treaty. One person make the declaration and the rest of them agree, the rest of the state. In the Treaty of Cape Verde, C-A-P-E-V-E-R-D-E, all right, in the Treaty of Cape Verde, the person that make the treaty is a pope, right? This pope, Papa the Bull, all right, nama the pope is Papa the Bull, all right? This Papa the Bull make a declaration to the rest of the world in a place called Cape Verde. He said, right, that the world, he hear words from God that the world sea is to be divided. The world ocean is to be divided for only 2 superpower, that is the Spaniard and Portuguese. The Spain is to venture the sea to the west. The Portuguese is to venture the sea to the east. The rest of the world, all right, country, states, nation are not allowed because the power that he hears from the God, all right, giving only to the 2 states. This is the beginning of the division of the sea in the law of the sea. So, right, the effect of Cape Verde is that this one man who hears the word from God relay the law to the rest of the country at that time, very limited, all right, in Europe. Okay, so these 2 superpower are the only one that venture. Spanish found America in the 14th centuries, Portuguese made us in the 15th centuries, and India and Goa, all right? Okay, now having said that, my point is that the treaty can be unilateral. Example to that is Treaty of Cape Verde, right? Okay, now treaty can also be multi-treaty, all right? Multi-treaty. In the case of multi-treaty, long ago we have met this treaty called Treaty of Lutzen. All right, Treaty of Lutzen that apply to the Bosphorus Channel. All right, in fact, it goes all the way to the ocean. Right, this is the treaty that everybody agrees to. When the king of Belgium, all right, agrees that there must be some form of standard, and the standard become regulation. One of the regulation is require that all ship at sea navigating right from the open ocean into the Bosphorus Sea must save lives. That is the procedure. So that treaties has been signed, all right, by Turkey, France, and many other countries, all right, and it demands that the party will apply the provision or the responsibility. That leads you to the previous case of the Lotus. The convention is called Lutzen. Although the convention was signed in the 18th centuries, but our example is that this Lutzen convention is actually a multi-treaty. All right, okay, now that is treaty. Now we come to the conventions, right? The word convention, all right, refers to all type of treaty agreements that makes between the two states or more states, but it was organized by United Nations organs. That's the reason why it carries with it the word convention. So you can see, all right, all the earlier convention, Law of the Sea, 1958, Air Chicago Convention, all right, 1972, United Nations Charter, all right, okay, 1945, and the rest that bears the word convention. It shows to you that the organizing committee for the convention is actually one of the organ in United Nations organization. For your information, United Nations organization has six, all right, has six organs. The organ that handles convention is at the end when it is a draft is the secretary. But before that, all the six organs will play a role in building up the convention. Right? Now, what is so important to know? Who are the one that created the treaty or the convention? It's important to know where it comes and who is the organizer or who is the one that pay attention to the particular drafting. Why? Because you want to know later if ever there is a dispute in the meaning or in the application or in the compliance or in the responsibility, all right? The party in dispute will refer to the organizer who have created the draft. All right, okay. Now later, when we are learning law of the sea, a law of treaty itself next week, we are going to look into the importance of the drafter explanatory notes, or in Latin word favorat preparatoire. All right, okay. So that is one side. But what is most important here is to identify that convention. Because of the word convention, it is created by United Nations Organization Committee in one of the organ of United Nations themselves. That is one type, because why it carries with it the title convention. The other one explanation with the word convention is this. Sometimes when it is an ancient practice, all right, the United Nations organs have done some good job, all right, by codifying few previous practices. Either it is a practice from the state, or it is just a customary practice, or it is law that everybody have understood, but never put it in words before. All right, never put it in a document before. Or sometimes the document are kept by the church or by the king, but in the practice is in general affected all states at that time. So what convention, United Nations Convention Committee, the drafted it was codify. They didn't create a new one. They just take all the old one, the ancient one, put it down and write it again. All right. If they do the codification, all right, they will acknowledge that they codified the previous practice of international law, all right, into that document, published it again in the United Nations organs and organization, and produced it again for all the members to see. One of the example of codification of convention is the Vienna Convention law of treaty itself. That's the reason why Vienna Convention has about 21 sub, under it. So they try to decipher it, put it nicely into codification. Right, Vienna Convention law of treaty 1969 is the general practice with regards to law of treaty. Some of the law of treaty are actually, all right, not created by the United Nations organs, but they are already in practice by the previous practice of international relation. For example, right, the Latin maxim of pacta sunt servanda. Later in my class, when we look into law of treaty, we will see how how Vienna Convention 1969 adopted pacta sunt servanda from the previous practice, codified it in the section, and makes it a vital condition. All right, okay, so you have that type of convention, two types of that bears the words convention in the title of the treaty, all right, or convention. But it is not wrong to call the convention the treaty. In America, all right, a country like America, they always refuse to do the word convention, especially when it comes to the widely used United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, all right, UNCLOS 1982. In America, most of American write-ups, they will refer it to be law of treaty, all right, law on the sea treaty, LOST, right, 1982, right, okay, they maintain that. So if you read books that doesn't carry the word UNCLOS, but it refers to the treaty, right, then you know the writer is actually following, all right, the style that they are adhering in America. So it's not wrong. Either you use the word treaty or you use the word convention. In both situations, all right, it refers to the international convention, international treaty, whether general or particular. The general one is like the law of the sea. The particular one, it's like carriage of air, carriage of the sea, carriage of road. All right. Okay. So you see, the particular one is private international law. The general one is public international law. Okay. Now, establishing rule expressly recognized by the contesting states. Who are that contesting state? Remember the word above in the para 1, all right, the word dispute. There must be two countries when you are disputing, all right? Okay, so one country adopted, the other country also recognized it, then it will become a treaty. So the next question is there a country that doesn't recognize treaty, right? Okay, if the country doesn't recognize treaty, that country refers to ICJ, then ICJ, all right, then, all right, refer to ICJ for dispute, then that country adopted automatically the concept that it recognized the contesting treaty. Right? When I say that, I'm referring to the case of Nicaragua. Right? Okay? Right? So note over here, dalam case Nicaragua. Okay, Nicaragua is a country trying to achieve merdeka, trying to achieve independence. While doing that, there must be accordingly, all right, in the modern society, for a state to reach independence, it must have party, right? Then there must be two party because they are going for election, and the winning party will become a government to create a legitimate, all right, a government for the day, all right, for that country. Right. So in the case of Nicaragua, there are two parties. There are actually cousins. There are brothers. All right. Some books say they are brothers. Some books say they are cousins. All right. Okay. Now there are two parties. One party is supported by America. The other party is supported by the local in the village. Right. If you read the case, they would say one country that is supporting finance and many other things come from America is the one in the city. The other one is the one in the village, or they say in the jungle. All right. Okay, there are two parties, but this party, because the support group are different for a different interest that is supporting them. All right. Okay. In the position of the party that is supported by America, all right, at the same time, America supply weapons, right, to this group, but the weapons are kept in the jungle, all right. The weapons are supplied to assist this winning party because they were, all right, sort of distressed or insurgency. That's always happened whenever, all right, they are trying to gain support or expand their constituency from the state, city to the village, and the village will be fighting to adopt their constituency back into their domain. All right, in that situation, there's always a row, and there's always, all right, weapon and a sort a kind of civil war that goes on between these two powers. But the one that supported or the one that supplied the weapon, all right, in the beginning it was only for one party, but then later on it was for both of the party. So you see, now the two of these cousins or brothers, all right, they sit down one day, they had a meeting. What they were looking for is the, all right, independence of the state, but they realized that this body of organization from America have been utilizing their states either in the jungle or in the states, in the city, all right, that they turning their country into a country that supply illegal weapon and training mercenaries or illegal soldiers, all right, and then the weapon and the this group of soldiers, all right, they were then sent to other countries, or from other countries they are using the part of the country, part of Nicaragua. So that, according to the two brothers, it's not accepted by them, right? Okay, so both of them at the end of the day, all right, managed to allow one group to win, all right, and that group become the state's government. The state's government then wanted to take action to oust this American organization out of the country and clean the image of their country as suppliers of illegal weapons and suppliers of illegal soldiers, all right, okay? They wanted to clear their image. So what do? All right, they just got independence. They just won the government election. They just won the election to build a new government, right? So what did they do? ICJ, not yet being a member to the international organization, went to, all right, ICJ and sue. All right, of course they try and suing it in the local, they exhaust the local. All right, but at that particular time, all right, it was not favorable. It was not, they don't have a court, so they go straight to ICJ to ask ICJ to all right, to look into the dispute between Nicaragua, all right, and America. They sue America. All right, over here, the point that you are making, we are going to see this case from time to time. All right, over here, the point we are making on this first part of international convention is that, can a state who is not a party to United Nations use the source in Article 31, Clause 1 ICJ in order to solve the dispute? All right. Okay, the answer to that is that ICJ said ICJ is the only body that can handle a matter like this. There are no other courts in the world. All right. Okay, therefore, the moment they have accepted Nicaragua case to be tried in ICJ, that shows, automatically Nicaragua have agreed, all right, to be member to the United Nations and to adhere and recognize the law, all right, in A. All right, okay, to recognize convention kat sini apa? United Nations Charter and ICJ statute part of it. All right, so the act of referring to ICJ to punish or to sue America is actually, all right, that act is showing that they have expressly recognized by the contesting party. So on that point, remember, we are looking into that facts. On other points later, we are looking into the rest of the case whenever it is necessary. So Nicaragua, you can use it to show that if a country is not part of the country, it's not